from WFSB, this is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5.
First at 5, a 13-year-old girl murdered while she played on her street. Today, her killers learn their fate.
Good evening. Tonight, the family of Joanna Cole says no matter what, nothing will bring back their little girl.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Leon Collins is live in New Haven now with tonight's big story. Leon?
Well, Irene and Dennis, the judge handed down 4 sentences in New Haven today. Rashim Menifee, the young man who videotaped the murder of Joanna Cole, received 15 years. Terrell Boyd, the young man who drove the getaway car that night, received 15 years as well. And Lamont Swint received 18 years. Now, more from the victim's family and more on the 4th and heaviest sentence handed down this afternoon. Today outside Superior Court in New Haven, the mother of the 13-year-old murder victim said Joanna Cole's youngest relatives are too young to understand murder and still ask when she's coming home.
I mean, what can you tell little kids like that? It's hard to explain to them that their friend that they play with every day is not coming back. That's hard.
The fatal shooting murder of Joanna Cole on Dickerman Street last June shocked and horrified the entire Elm City. Today, a Superior Court judge sentenced 16-year-old Tremaine Sanders to 40 years for his involvement in the crime committed by 5 young men who were all found guilty. The prosecution said today that Sanders fired the first shots into a crowd of young people gathered here at a party that summer night. The motive, a neighborhood turf war. Today, families of the defendants apologized to the victim's family, but attempts to sway the judge prior to sentencing fell short of their mark as they were called excuses by the victim's grandmother, excuses where there was no excuse.
They already had it planned in their mind what they was going to do to go ahead and shoot my granddaughter or go over on Dickerman Street and shoot, period.
There were people on both sides of this related to each other. You come out here now, you look back, you've lost a daughter. What do you want everyone to know today?
I just want kids in general to know to listen to their parents, and if you think you're being pressured into doing something, then go talk to somebody about it. I mean, because you don't want to end up like our family did without a daughter.
Daniel Carter, the young gunman the night of Joanna Cole's murder in New Haven last summer, faces sentencing on Monday. Reporting live in New Haven, Leon Collins, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Leon. We are following developing news out of Houston right now, where a building at the Johnson Space Center has been evacuated. Police were called there by NASA on reports that there was a gunman inside the building. We're hearing now that a man is in the building, barricaded in a room with a gun. Police are on the scene right now. Of course, we'll stay on top of this developing story and bring you new information as soon as we get it.
Several people will have to find someplace to stay the night after a fire ripped through their West Haven home. Investigators say the house went up in flames so quickly, all because of the way it was built. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Teresa LaBarbera is live at the mobile newsroom in West Haven now with more. Teresa.
Well, Irene, the Red Cross is assisting 6 adults that lived in this house behind me. You could see crews are here boarding up the broken windows. Now, this fire broke out around 12:30. I spoke to one of the occupants. He said he was sitting on the couch watching television when he saw smoke come through the vents, and at that point, he realized something was wrong. Erica Serio was enjoying a picnic lunch outside with her kids before she dialed 911.
I didn't think nothing of it until I saw smoke coming out of the side of the house, out of the window. And then a guy comes running out of the house, screams, "Fire!"
Fire crews responded to this 3-family home on Peck Avenue. Neighbor Grace Rosatani was watching from the road.
There was smoke billowing out of the chimney, and then you could see it billowing out from both sides of the house.
The chief suspects the fire started in the basement by the furnace, but because of the wood balloon structure of the house, it spread to the 3rd floor.
We opened up some walls, found some fire that extended up, extinguished that, and then continued to do that on each floor until we made sure we had the fire out.
The department tackled the fire with this white foam, something Chief Abbott says makes a room cooler and more visible.
It has a tendency to cool down the fire very rapidly, extinguish quickly, and cuts down on our extension.
Now, it took fire crews about a half hour to get this fire under control. There were no injuries, and the house is not a complete loss. The fire marshal was on the scene. He just left, and he's still trying to determine exactly how this started. For now, we are reporting live with the mobile newsroom in West Haven. Teresa, LaBarbera, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Teresa. It is spring weekend at Yukon, and police are out in full force. So far, police have arrested 13 people on the store's campus. 6 are facing drug charges. Another 3 were charged with drunken driving. The traditional party weekend draws thousands of people to the campus. A crowd of more than 10,000 people gathered for an off-campus party last night.
One person is recovering tonight after being shot in Hartford's North End. It happened just before noon on Mall Avenue. The victim was taken to the hospital and is expected to fully recover. Police say this shooting was not random and that the victim and the suspect know each other. That gunman is still on the loose. There's some new developments now in the case of an East Hartford man who threatened Mayor Melody Curry. 58-year-old Lawrence Palumbo is now charged with making a telephone threat to Governor Rell. Police say Lawrence Palumbo Jr. walked into Mayor Curry's office on Wednesday with flowers and a pellet gun. Curry happened to be meeting with the chief of police at the time, who promptly arrested Palumbo. The call to the governor was reportedly made just before his arrest.
This Friday marks day 4 of the Michael Skakel appeal, and Skakel's trial lawyer Mickey Sherman was back on the stand again today, questioned about evidence that he complains the state withheld from him during the trial. Channel 3's Al Terzi is live with the mobile newsroom outside the courthouse in Stamford now with what's been happening today. Al?
Dennis, Mickey Sherman says this evidence was deliberately withheld from the defense by the state, and he says this is evidence that he could have used definitely to show that someone other than Michael Skakel was the real killer of Martha Moxley.
I don't recall, but
one document was a report signed by investigators concluding that Skakel's brother Thomas was the killer.
Okay.
He was the last one seen with Martha Moxley that night.
I did have the information as to the investigation of Tom Skakel, but the fact that 2 officers, the chief investigating officers from the Greenwich PD, were ready to swear under oath that they believed Tom Skakel committed the crime, to me was a vital component of this defense.
And it's your opinion that you actually could have gotten that fact, the opinions of 2 police officers, into evidence in front of the jury at that trial? Just yes or no?
Yes.
After he testified, I asked Sherman if this evidence withholding claim is strong enough to win a new trial.
I would hope so. I really would hope so. I don't know who the killer is, but I know who the killer isn't. It's not Michael Skakel.
That other piece of evidence Mickey Sherman told me about was a police sketch of someone who had been seen in the neighborhood where Martha Moxley was killed on the night she was killed. Someone who, Sherman says, very closely resembled Ken Littleton, who was the Skakel family tutor. Now, coming up on Monday, we're going to have Frank Garr on the witness stand here at Stamford Superior Court. Frank Garr, the state's lead investigator in the Moxley murder case, and he's going to talk about the fact that the defense, at least they hope he will testify, that the defense did not know about the claims of Gitano Tony Bryant, that there were 2 of his friends who could have been the killers of Martha Moxley. We'll see what happens. We'll be here. Al Terzi live with the mobile newsroom at Stamford Superior Court.
Well, parts of the state are still under a weather alert. Taking a live look at a very flooded Harbor Park restaurant through our city cam in Middletown. Rivers across the state are receding but are still well above flood stage. And the Federal Emergency Management Agency began surveying the damage today to see what parts of the state will qualify for disaster aid. Chief Meteorologist Bruce DePrest is in the Early Warning Forecast Center now with what the status of the rivers are right now. Bruce?
Irene, we still have 2 rivers in Connecticut that are under a flood warning, and those are the Connecticut River and the Housatonic River. Starting with the Connecticut River, we have minor flooding still occurring in Hartford. Middletown has moderate flooding. At least the river is going down, but it's going to take a long time for the Connecticut to go below flood stage. The Housatonic River, still a minor flooding going on at Gaylordsville. All right, Channel 3's early warning pinpoint Doppler shows that we have bone dry weather across the state. And let's take a little tour around the Connecticut River. In Middletown, the flood stage is 8 feet. Right now it's at 13.6 feet and dropping. And in Hartford, flood stage is 16 feet. Right now it's 21.5 feet and dropping. Still well above flood stage, but at least it's heading in the right direction. For most of us, the news is terrific. We got a great weekend forecast. It's going to turn warmer, and I'll have all the details coming up.
Thank you, Bruce. A lot of cleaning up to do in Middletown, and not just from the flooding. The Middletown Plate and Glass building went up in flames early this morning. Firefighters were on the scene there for several hours. Pinpoint News Tracker shows you where it all went down on Union Street. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Schneider was on the scene with the mobile newsroom. She has more on the investigation.
Frank Dumont woke up around 6 o'clock this morning to hear the news. The building he works at here on Union Street was in flames after a fire sparked around 4 o'clock this morning.
Kind of hard to believe that, it would be this building, that you work in.
The fire started at the back corner of Middletown Plate Glass and shot up the side of the building through the roof. Just after they got to the scene, the Middletown Fire Department elevated this blaze to 3 alarms after realizing just how difficult it would be to fight.
They had a hard time gaining access into the building because the building's like a maze inside.
With departments from Middletown, Cromwell, and Durham rushing their engines to attack the flames, crews decided the best plan would be to tackle the fire from the roof.
What took the longest time is just to keep opening up the roof so we can get at the expose the fire area.
Just a few hours after it started, fire crews got this blaze under control, and amazingly the damage was confined to the back of this glass shop, sparing most of the valuables.
It happened in an area that's really not utilized. We don't utilize that space every day, and thank God it didn't get into to the main body of the building.
So things are okay for the most part?
We hope.
Luckily, this fire happened so early in the morning that no one was inside, no one was injured by this blaze, and at this point, fire crews are still investigating to find out how this blaze sparked at 4 o'clock this morning. With the mobile newsroom in Middletown, Jessica Schneider, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Still ahead, all new on Eyewitness News at 5.
The third in line for the presidency is here in Hartford tonight. Why a group of people want to send Nancy Pelosi a very specific message.
Meet a Native American storyteller helping children here in Connecticut to make great choices in their lives, while at the same time helping her people 1,000 miles away. That's next as Everyday Heroes begins.
And then all new at 5:30, making the grade. Why half of the students in one local community aged kindergarten through 3rd grade will be going to summer school.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5. Eyewitness News is everywhere, covering news in Connecticut. Digging deeper to find the truth. Call the Channel 3 I-Team, 860-244-1669. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
Rachel Lutzker pinpoints traffic trouble spots.
Area, we have reports of a crash and state police are now en route to.
Tells you how to get around them and gives real-time commute conditions.
Northbound out by exit 25.
Pinpoint traffic every 10 minutes. Monday morning on Channel 3 Eyewitness News.